Hi friends, my name is Michayla White and I get to serve as the Executive Director for the International Network of Children's Ministry. You know, over the past couple of weeks, one of the primary questions the children's ministry community has had to navigate due to the impact of COVID-19 has been around what do we do about VBS and summer outreach ministry? As requirements, mandates, news, the way that we approach ministry seems to shift almost weekly. It also is requiring us to reimagine the way that we approach VBS. All of us are asking important questions right now about how we move forward. And so we thought it would be helpful to bring together some perspective from leaders who are right in the thick of reimagining VBS for this season. Now, this interview is just the beginning of a conversation that we will continue to have in the days to come. Take a look. Well, I'm joined today by three friends who have years of expertise in VBS and its development and implementation. I'm so excited to introduce to you Amy Fenton, the Executive Director of Orange VBS, Melita Thomas, VBS Specialist at Lifeway, and Jody Brolsma, the Executive Editor of Children's Resources at Group Publishing. Thank you to each one of you for participating in this today. Jody, with COVID-19 and its impact on our world and all that is required of us to navigate just rapid changes, it seems like we're having to be more flexible than ever in life and leadership. When it comes to looking ahead for summer ministry like VBS, what would you encourage us to not lose sight of in the midst of this unique season of ministry leadership?
Yeah, I think when this all happened, it really knocked us off track, and it's really easy to feel rather unmoored, untethered, unanchored, and all those plans that we made back in January when we were at CPC or meeting with our teams, suddenly those just went out the window. And I have found a lot of peace in just coming back to those, what life was like before all of this, and looking at what goals did I have for ministry. That's good. Suddenly it's like, it all feels like, okay, we can make sense of this. And the God that spoke those to me and to my team back then, he's still God. And so I think it really has been a grounding thing for me. And I think we can put some perspective and say, God knew this was coming. And when he gave us those goals and inspirations and those words for our team and for our ministry, those are still true. And I think just looking at things through that filter, suddenly we have a little bit of control and perspective in what summer ministry can be. And I think that's exciting. I think it can feel like, okay, this isn't this topsy-turvy thing. And I think it's also a note for me, my word for this year was renew. Wow. And that has a whole new perspective. It is not what I thought. But I think as we looked at what relationship is with kids and what faith is with kids through that lens, okay, God said that to me, and here's how we can make that work. So I think it's just really going back to what our goals have been for the past year, and realigning ourselves with that can make a huge difference.
That's a solid reminder. I love the idea of not losing sight of the goals. The goals can stay the same, but how we go about them, we have to reimagine a little bit.
Yes.
Amy, families and kids are experiencing some major changes in education and work, not to mention social interactions and their support systems being limited or not accessible the way that they once were. Why do you think that kids will need VBS, no matter what form it takes on after these extended periods of sheltering in place and shifts to their normal routines?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think for me, we have such a unique opportunity as the church to position ourselves as hope and light during a hopeless time. At times it feels really dark. And I love what we can offer because of the very things you've shared, like they aren't going to school. They miss their friends. They can't go to church on Sundays. And I'm sure their parents are feeling the weight of the world. And we know, when we feel something, the people who are closest to it, it reverberates off of us, and our kids feel it too. Yeah. So I think in this season, I have to believe that we as the body of Christ were made for such a time as this.
Yes.
Just like in the story
Amen.
of Esther and Mordecai, when she was trying to decide what to do and if she should approach the king and what to do for her people. And, he just had to remind her for such a time as this. I mean, we have such a great opportunity to be light in this darkness. And so why do I think kids will need VBS no matter what form that's in? I think number one, because schools are going to be out, parents, they had that rhythm. They're finding a rhythm with online school, but come summer, that's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, especially if people live in areas where things are still kind of locked down, then they are going to need something to fill that space, to fill that void, and give them something just to look forward to. I think also kids and families, they really need to have fun. Like in this, our family, we've just had to sit down and intentionally make time for fun in the midst of all of this. I think also kids just need connection, whether you end up doing virtual VBS in a smaller group, whatever. I think that this is such a great opportunity for the kids to connect. And then finally, I think all of us would agree that VBS is such a great on-ramp to invite people into your church. Whatever that looks like, coming to church, right now it's virtual for most people, but I think people are hungrier than ever for the hope that Jesus can give. And there's nothing like a crisis to make people, even the most skeptical of people, most skeptical of parents, begin to go, I need hope and help and answers. And so I just think how great if we're the answer, if we're there going, we have an answer for you.
That's right.
And so I think that there is so much potential for VBS this summer, maybe more than any summer before.
I think the potential to be able to connect with families, especially who don't have hope during this season, it's such a critical thing for us to consider, because right now it can feel like our opportunity to reach out might be a little bit limited, but we're seeing the ways that God is using this season beyond what we could have even thought. And that includes VBS. That includes the way that we run VBS this year. Melita, some leaders are watching this and their churches will not be having gatherings for some time. Does this mean that they should give up on VBS, or what are some of the ways that you think they might be able to reimagine this happening?
Well, I wanted to provide a little encouragement, because I like to step back a little bit and put things in perspective, and because I can get so wrapped up in the mechanics of how we're going to make this happen that I lose sight of the fact that, VBS has been around since 1898. And so it has seen a lot of hard times before. Yes. And even though what we're experiencing now is unprecedented, VBS has thrived through world wars, through epidemics, through job loss, through the Great Depression. And in each of those drastically different times, the people who kept VBS going saw it was invaluable for reaching boys and girls, reaching families with the gospel. And they realized that the situation that they are finding themselves in means VBS can't look different than, it can't look the same as it did before. It has to adapt and it has to change. And each of those people who have come before us managed to do it in a way that kept the spirit of VBS alive and kept the mission of it alive. And so as we juggle all of these methodologies and figure out how things adapt for such a time as this, I'm really encouraged that the mission doesn't change, the heart of VBS doesn't change, and we have a great opportunity to reach a hurting world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Amen. And people need it now more than ever. So we recognize it has to look different this year. That's okay. It's an opportunity for us to get creative, for us to be flexible, and for kids to engage in fresh and new ways that are really exciting. And so I'm convinced there are a gajillion and one ways that VBS could happen safely and creatively this year. It could be very much the same as it has in years past. For some areas of our country, we may have to delay a little bit or choose an alternate date, or we may pivot to a fall break or a back to school or something later in the summer or in the fall. We may shift it outside of the walls of our church and take it into our communities and meet in cul-de-sacs and front yards and side yards and apartment complexes. And that is so exciting. And VBS can even take place in a virtual environment. Yeah. We can take the message of the gospel directly into the home and facilitate parents to walk their kids through these experiences that we've come to know and love as part of VBS in the church. And so really the doors are open wide for us as churches, and we get a great opportunity to infuse new life into VBS so that it doesn't feel like it always has felt, but it feels fresh and new and is an exciting way to engage our community. And for one, I can't wait to see what God's going to do this summer, because I think he's going to use this time to prepare our hearts for the word that he has planned for this summer. That's right. And VBS gets to be a part of that.
Amen. And I'm just so encouraged by the three of you, just the reminder that to go back to the goals and to remember what God put in our hearts for this, and to know, man, the environment has shifted, but the goals haven't. To know that the mission is still critical, and that our communities and our kids and our families need this message of hope more than ever before. So I'm just so thankful for the reminders, the wisdom from the three of you today. I appreciate your heart and the perspective that you bring to the conversation. And for leaders who are watching and who are wrestling with these questions and praying through what this summer needs to look like, I just want you to know we are praying for you. And we are so eager to see what God is going to do through you and through your ministries this summer. You are doing the most futuristic and strategic ministry of the church, and in a season that's requiring more flexibility from you than ever. We're so thankful for you, and we're praying for you as you navigate these questions. We're going to be hosting a conversation in a couple of weeks that is going to dig deeper into some of these questions that we're all asking around what it looks like to do VBS this summer. We invite you to join us. Amy and Jody and Melita will be there, along with some more friends who are experts in the area of VBS resources, as well as children's ministry leaders who are in the middle of pivoting and planning for their summer. And we invite you to be a part of that conversation. Friends, know we're praying for you. We're behind you. We believe in what God is doing in you right now and in your ministry. And we believe that this could quite possibly be your best VBS yet.